A desperate girl searching for money to save her paralyzed father. A billionaire who never believed in love. And a family secret that would shake the world's richest circles. Sit back, grab a popcorn, because this story is not just about money, it's about love, betrayal, and destiny. Maria was only 20, but life had already weighed her down more than most people twice her age. She was a university student, quiet and hard-working, yet the smile she once carried had long disappeared. Her family was poor, so poor that every day felt like a struggle to survive. Her father, once a strong man who worked on construction sites, now sat helpless in a wheelchair. Years ago, while trying to save Maria from a speeding car, he had taken the hit instead. Since then, his legs had refused to move. The family had spent everything they had on treatments, prayers, and medicine, but nothing worked. Now the doctors were clear. If he doesn't do the surgery this time, they warned, your father may never stand again. The words echoed in Maria's mind every day. The surgery cost more than she could ever afford. Her mother had grown bitter and sharp-tongued. Maria, if you don't find money, your father will die in that chair. Do you want that on your head? She snapped almost every evening. Maria would bow her head in silence, tears burning her eyes. She already skipped meals so she could save the little she had to buy medicine for her father. She washed clothes for neighbors, tutored children in the evenings, and still tried to focus on her studies, but no matter how much she struggled, it was never enough. Late at night, when her roommates were asleep, Maria would lie awake staring at the ceiling. Her cracked phone often slipped from her hand as she scrolled endlessly, searching for quick jobs online. Each passing day her father grew weaker, and each passing day her desperation grew stronger. She needed money. She needed it fast. And soon, one phone call would lead her into a world she never imagined. The next morning, Maria dragged herself out of bed with heavy eyes. She had hardly slept. Her roommates chatted as they prepared for lectures, but she stayed quiet, her mind still circling her father's condition and the words of the doctors. By the time she got to school, the sun was already bright over the campus. She walked slowly along the corridor toward her class, her head bent low. That was when something on the notice board caught her eye. Between hostel ads and used phone flyers, one bold paper stood out. Egg donors needed 100,000 immediate settlement. 100,000 sounded like rescue. Hands shaking, she dialed the number on the ad, but in her nervousness, she pressed 4 instead of 5. It was a wrong number. Hello? A man's voice answered, surprised. Maria swallowed hard. Hello. Please, is this the egg donation people? The ones offering 100,000? Her voice was small, hopeful. There was silence on the other end. The man's breath caught. Shock rippled through him. Why would a young woman want to sell her eggs? He clenched his jaw, thinking fast, then decided to play along. Yes, he said quietly. Come to Round Garden, Building 6, Room B. The building was neat and silent, clean walls, shiny tiles, a gate that opened with a buzz. Maria climbed the stairs to Room B and knocked. The door opened slightly. The same voice said, "Come in." Inside, the air smelled of cologne mixed with something sharp, like disinfectant. A tall man in a fitted shirt stood by the window, phone in hand. His eyes scanned her face as if he were reading a price tag. So, you want the arrangement, he said. Maria nodded nervously. I saw an ad about selling eggs. I need the money. His eyes flickered, surprise mixed with worry, but his face stayed unreadable. Are you a virgin? He asked flatly. Maria froze. Sir, what has my virginity got to do with my eggs? If you want this, there are requirements, he said. Take off your clothes. I need to check. If I don't check, how can I be sure? Her heart slammed against her chest. I can't do that. I'm sorry. I think I made a mistake. She reached for the door handle, but it didn't turn. The man pressed a small button on the wall. There was a sharp click. The door was locked. Too late to regret it now, he said, calm, cold. You came here for money. Be serious. Tears blurred Maria's eyes. Please, sir, open the door. I don't want this anymore.
Please." The air conditioner hummed softly. Her chest rose and fell as she fought panic. In her mind, she saw her father's tired but gentle smile, the way he used to wait for her after school. A hot tear rolled down her cheek. "I was wrong," she whispered brokenly. "Please let me go." The man's face hardened.
He stared at her for a long moment, then sighed. He pressed the button again. The lock clicked open. "Get out," he said flatly. "How can this girl be so naive? She couldn't tell that ad was a scam." Maria stumbled out into the corridor, her whole body shaking. The air outside felt cooler, like a hand on her fevered skin. She walked quickly down the stairs, hugging herself as if she could hold her heart together. At the bottom of the stairs, she paused, wiping her face. The promise of easy money still echoed in her ears, but now it felt like a deep pit, one she might fall into and never climb out of. Behind the locked door, the man leaned against the wall, jaw tight. His name was Lawrence. He was a doctor, and he knew what most girls didn't: the real risks of egg selling, ovarian infections, long-term damage, even infertility. Desperate young women were never told the truth. When Maria's wrong number call came, he had been shocked, so he staged the virginity test, the locked door, all of it, not to harm her, but to frighten her away. Under his breath, he muttered, almost like a prayer for a stranger, "Don't do something foolish, girl. Don't sell your body, don't sell your eggs, and it will ruin you." Maria walked back into her family's small house that evening, her steps heavy. She had barely recovered from the terrifying encounter earlier, but there was no rest waiting for her at home. Her mother started at once. "Where is the money?" "They said we must pay $50,000 first," Maria said quietly. "I'm still trying." "Trying doesn't feed anyone," her mother snapped. "Johnson just got a job chance. They need a referral fee, $60,000. Bring it. If you don't, I will disown you. Do you hear me?" Maria swallowed. "Mummy, I don't have it yet." Her mother stepped closer, voice sharp. "All this bad luck in this family started with you. Did you forget how your father got into that accident? He was saving you. Since then, everything has been spoiled. If your brother misses this chance because of you, don't come back to this house." The words dug deep. Maria was the eldest child, although she was only a year older than her brother Johnson. She had always worked. She had always brought something home. Her mother had never cared for her the way she cared for Johnson. She had always given him better food, kinder words, quick defense when he failed, hard silence when Maria succeeded. Still, Maria never took it to heart. She just kept providing. "I will try," she said, small but steady. "Don't try me," her mother cut in. "Bring money. Don't disgrace this family." Johnson still didn't look up. Maria stepped outside and sat on the low step. $50,000 for the hospital, $60,000 for Johnson. Food, transport. Her head pounded. She remembered the man at Round Garden, the cold voice, the locked door, the word virgin. He looked rich, and maybe he had wanted to sleep with her. Her hands moved before fear could stop them. She dialed the same number she had called from the egg donor ad. "Hello?" the man said. "Good evening," Maria whispered. "It's me, from earlier. I wanted to ask if you are still interested in me." There was a long pause. On the other end, Lawrence felt a tight pull in his chest. He had tried to scare her off. She was not scared. Something in her voice, soft, careful, still holding dignity, stayed with him. There was silence on his end, then a long breath. Against his better judgment, Lawrence found himself drawn to her innocence. "Meet me," he said quietly. He sent her the address of a luxurious hotel. Maria arrived late that night, her heart racing, her palms sweaty. The marble floors gleamed, and the chandeliers sparkled as if mocking her simple dress. She had never stepped into a place so grand. Every step she took toward the reception, her stomach knotted tighter. Lawrence stood waiting in the hotel lobby, tall and composed in a crisp shirt that fit his broad shoulders perfectly. His eyes followed Maria as she walked in, nervous and hesitant, her hands gripping her small handbag. He stepped forward, his expression calm but unreadable. He picked up her bag and led her toward the elevator. Maria's footsteps echoed against the polished marble floors, her heart thudding with every step. This man was Lawrence Benson, although Maria didn't know that yet. A billionaire by birth, the only son of Mr. and Mrs. Benson, one of the wealthiest families in the country. Despite his upbringing, Lawrence had always believed in freedom. He had studied abroad, built his own path as a doctor, and had only recently returned to the country. The elevator doors slid open, and soon they were inside a luxurious suite. The room glowed with soft golden lights, the curtains heavy and rich, the bed neatly spread with white linen. Lawrence placed her bag gently on the table and turned to her. His voice was low, kind, but steady. "If you are nervous, you can leave. I won't force you." She looked at him, her heart racing, words stuck in her throat. Instead of answering, she stepped closer and kissed him. Clumsy, trembling, but real. Lawrence froze for a moment, then slowly returned the kiss with passion, his hands steady on her back. He lifted her gently into his arms and carried her to the bed. For Maria, every second felt unreal. Her fear mixed with shame, yet Lawrence's touch was careful, his eyes soft as he noticed her inexperience. He slowed down, patient, tender in a way she had not expected. That night, Maria gave herself to him. Morning came quietly, sunlight spilling through the tall windows. Maria sat at the edge of the bed, her head bowed as she dressed in silence. Lawrence broke the quiet. "What's your name?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Maria." He nodded. "I'm Lawrence, Lawrence Benson." For the first time, they knew each other's names. Lawrence reached into his wallet and handed her a neat bundle of cash, 200,000, double the amount she had nervously asked for the night before. "Take it," he said gently. "Not because of what happened, just out of kindness." Maria's hands trembled as she accepted it. The shame was heavy, sitting like a stone in her chest. She muttered a soft thank you, unable to meet his eyes. When she stepped out of the hotel that morning, the cool breeze hit her face, but nothing could wash away the question that haunted her. What have I done? Maria returned home with trembling hands, clutching the bundle of cash. She placed the 200,000 on the table in front of her mother. Her mother's eyes lit up instantly. She picked up the money, flipping through it with a smile spreading across her face. "Good," she said simply, her voice satisfied. Maria stared at her in silence, waiting for a word of concern, a question about where she had gotten such an amount. But nothing came. Her mother did not care whether Maria had borrowed, stolen, killed, or sold herself. All that mattered was that money had entered the house. The thought broke Maria's heart. She turned her eyes to her father in his chair. "Mama," she whispered, "please make sure this money goes into Papa's surgery. Don't waste it. He needs it." Her mother waved a hand, still counting. Yes, he will be fine. Go and rest yourself." Maria walked slowly to her room, her chest tight. For her family, the money mattered more than her. And yet, all she had done was for them. Back in her hostel that night, Maria curled on her bed as a sharp pain twisted her stomach. It came in waves, strong enough to make her sweat. By morning, she could not bear it anymore. She decided to go to the hospital. She pushed open the consulting room door, clutching her file to her chest, and froze. The doctor sitting behind the desk, adjusting his stethoscope, was Lawrence. Her breath caught. Shame flushed over her. She wanted to turn and leave before he noticed, but his voice stopped her. "Maria," he said firmly, "come in." Her steps were hesitant as she lay down nervously on the examination bed. Lawrence put on his gloves, his expression serious and professional. "Tell me where it hurts," he said. She pointed to her stomach, her voice barely a whisper. He pressed gently along her abdomen, his movements careful. "Here?" Maria winced. A little lower. His eyes softened. "This isn't gastric pain," he said quietly. "It's uterine pain. I'll prescribe medicine. Take it 3 times a day for 1 week, and no sex until you're better." Maria's cheeks burned hot. She nodded quickly, unable to look him in the eye. He scribbled on a prescription pad and handed it to her. "Be consistent. You'll recover." As she walked out of the hospital, her heart raced. She hadn't imagined she would see him again, at least not so soon. And now, she couldn't stop thinking of the way he had looked at her last night, the way he had seen her, naked, fragile, vulnerable. That evening, Maria sat on her narrow hostel bed, staring at the prescription in her hand. Her body still ached faintly, but her thoughts were heavier than the pain. She had seen Lawrence again, and she could not shake the memory of his voice or the way his eyes had softened during the checkup. Her phone buzzed suddenly. It was her close friend. "Maria," her friend whispered excitedly, "there's work tonight at Crystal Lounge, the big club in town. They're paying well for just serving drinks. Come with me." Maria's heart sank. She hated the thought of working in a nightclub. The noise, the men, the stares. It wasn't her world. "I don't think so," Maria replied weakly. Her friend pressed harder. "Please, it's just for one night. Like I said, the pay is very good. At least this will help a little." Maria's chest tightened. She thought of her mother's sharp words. She knew it was only a matter of time before her mother demanded for more money. With a deep sigh, she agreed. "Fine. Just for tonight." Crystal Lounge was glowing with colored lights, music vibrating through the walls. Wealthy men in suits sat at reserved tables, while waiters and hostesses rushed to serve them. Maria wore the simple black dress the club had provided, holding a tray nervously as she walked among strangers. From across the room, Lawrence spotted her. His eyes narrowed in surprise. What is she doing here? For a moment he stayed back, debating whether to approach her. He could not take his eyes off her, fragile, out of place among the flashing lights. Before he could move, a hand grabbed Maria's wrist. "Maria!" A familiar voice slurred. She turned sharply. It was Adam, one of her classmates. A known playboy, always chasing after girls in class, always boasting of his conquests. Maria had waved him off countless times, but here he was, cornering her. "In my place you can't escape," Adam sneered, leaning too close. Maria's stomach twisted with disgust. "Let me go, Adam," she said firmly, pulling her arm. "Why? You've been acting too holy in class. Tonight, you'll see I always get what I want." Before Maria could cry out, another voice cut through the music, calm, firm, unshakable. "Let her go." Adam turned and froze. Lawrence was standing there, eyes blazing. Adam smirked, trying to cover his nerves. "She's my girlfriend, we're just talking." Lawrence's jaw tightened. "If you ever say that again, I will make sure you spend the rest of your life regretting it. Do you want to try me?" Something in his tone made Adam step back, his bravado crumbling. He muttered under his breath, then stormed off, angry that he couldn't have his way. Maria stood frozen, her tray trembling in her hands. Lawrence stepped closer, his voice quieter now. "Are you all right?" She nodded quickly, though her heart was pounding. For the second time, he had intervened, half protective, half possessive. And though Maria didn't understand why, she could feel her life pulling deeper into his orbit. Maria could barely breathe as she left Crystal Lounge that night. The lights and noise still rang in her ears, but all she could feel was the echo of Lawrence's voice standing up for her, and the weight of his eyes watching her even as she tried to slip away unnoticed. The next morning, her phone buzzed with a message. It was from Lawrence. "Meet me this afternoon." She hesitated, but something in her heart told her she couldn't avoid him anymore. When she arrived, Lawrence didn't waste time with questions. He picked up her bag and led her across town to a tall, quiet building. Inside, everything gleamed: the marble lobby, the faint smell of lavender, the silence of wealth. Maria followed him into one of the units. The door opened to reveal a wide room filled with matching furniture, sleek sofas, a polished dining set, a queen-sized bed dressed in crisp sheets. Everything looked untouched, as if it had just been furnished. Maria gasped quietly. "Why are we here?" Lawrence turned, his eyes steady. "This is a premium dorm I control. From now on, you'll stay here. You'll be safe. I want you safe." Her stomach twisted. Before she could reply, his words deepened the tension. "Maria," he said slowly, "name your price. I want you as my woman, not for one night, for as long as you'll stay." She stared at him, stunned. "This is insane. You can't just decide this for me." For a moment, silence stretched between them. His jaw tightened, and though his expression softened, his eyes revealed a dangerous fixation. Later that evening, back at her hostel, Maria packed her things quietly. She told herself she wasn't moving because of his offer. She was moving because fear was already haunting her nights. She had noticed shadows outside, footsteps that seemed to follow when she walked back late. Then Lawrence had offered her this apartment, like he knew she was struggling. "I can't live there for free," she whispered to Lawrence when he came to pick her up. "Then call it rent," he replied. "Just $2,000 a month. Pay me whatever you can." Maria hesitated, then transferred him money for a month. She knew it was far less than the true cost. "I'll keep paying," she promised softly. He nodded, though he cared little about the money. For him, it wasn't the payment that mattered. It was her dependence. That night, Lawrence personally came to help her move. He carried her small box of books, her faded clothes folded into a single bag. Standing inside the new apartment, Maria hugged herself, unsure if she felt safe or trapped. Lawrence lingered by the door, watching her quietly. She was in his world now, whether she realized it or not. Maria began to settle slowly into the apartment. The silence was new to her. No noise from quarreling neighbors, no roommates shuffling around at night. Everything felt too perfect, too arranged, like stepping into a life that didn't belong to her. Lawrence often dropped by. One evening he brought fresh groceries and rolled up his sleeves in the kitchen. The smell of sizzling onions filled the air as he stirred, while Maria stood nervously by the counter. "You cook?" she asked quietly. He smirked. "You sound surprised." They ate together at the glass dining table, laughter slipping out here and there. Yet as Maria watched him, something heavy pressed on her heart. Gratitude kept her there, but unease coiled beneath it. She was attracted to him, his presence, his confidence, the way he seemed to care, but at the same time she wondered, am I just a passing interest, someone easy for him to conquer? Could a man like Lawrence Beanson ever truly love a girl like me? She didn't know the answer. The next day, after lectures, the sky broke open with rain. Students rushed into nearby shops and sheds, but Maria lingered under the falling water, clutching her books against her chest. She had no umbrella, no jacket. A black luxury car rolled to a stop in front of her. The window slid down and Lawrence's face appeared, half amused, half serious. "Get in," he said. She hesitated, water dripping from her hair. "Come on," he teased, his eyes glinting. "Beg me to take you home." Her cheeks flushed, but shivering in the rain, she whispered, "Please, take me home, sir." His smirk softened into a smile as he unlocked the door. "That's better." Later that night, Maria collapsed on her bed, her body burning with fever. Her temperature climbed to 39 degrees. In her half-conscious state, she murmured things Lawrence could barely piece together, credit card and bank passwords, then a broken whisper. "If I die, give the money to Dad." Lawrence sat by her side, shaken. What kind of hardship has this girl gone through that even in sickness, she thinks only of money? He nursed her carefully, pressing a cool cloth to her forehead, giving her the necessary drugs, waiting until her breathing steadied. By morning, Maria stirred weakly, her lips pale. "Your cramps," Lawrence said softly. "They worsen when you don't eat, right?" She nodded, embarrassed. "Sometimes. Yes." He frowned. "Then from now on you eat before taking medicine. No excuses." She looked away, her face burning with shame. "I'm sorry for keeping you here all night." He shook his head gently. "Don't be sorry. Just promise me you'll take care of yourself." Maria's eyes glistened as she nodded. For the first time, she wondered if he truly saw her, not just as prey, but as a girl fighting silently to survive. A few days later, Maria was finally herself again. The fever had gone, her strength returned, and she felt a new lightness in her chest. That afternoon, she visited her father at the hospital. The surgery had been successful. For the first time in years, there was real hope that he might walk again. When she entered the ward, his eyes shone and he reached for her hand. "You've done so much for me, my daughter," he whispered. Maria smiled through tears, squeezing his hand gently. "Just get better, Papa. That's all I want." That night, she walked home from the hospital, the streetlights flickering weakly against the dark. The road was quiet, too quiet. Suddenly, shadows emerged from the corner. 3 men stepped into her path, blocking the way. Their laughter was cruel, their eyes hungry. Maria froze, clutching her bag. Her stomach dropped when she recognized one of the faces. "Adam," she whispered. Her classmate's smirk widened. "So, we meet again. You thought you could embarrass me at the club, eh? Tonight you won't escape." Maria's knees trembled. "Please, Adam. Stay away from me, don't do this." But he only stepped closer, his hand reaching for her shirt as if to rip it off. A sudden force struck. Lawrence appeared out of the shadows like a storm, his fist connecting hard with Adam's jaw. The other men scrambled back as Lawrence fought with cold fury, each strike carrying a warning. "Didn't I tell you to stay away from her?" Lawrence's voice thundered as he pinned Adam against the wall. Adam spat blood, sneering through the pain. "You'll regret this. Do you know who I am? My father is a rich politician. I'll make sure you both pay." Lawrence's grip tightened.
"Threaten her again, and I'll make sure you rot in jail before your father can lift a finger." By the time the police arrived, Adam was bleeding, his pride more bruised than his body. Lawrence pressed charges, ensuring Adam would face the consequences. Even as he was dragged away, Adam cursed under his breath, glaring at Maria. "This isn't over. I'll get back at you." Maria stood trembling, her breath shallow, tears streaming down her cheeks. Lawrence turned to her, his voice gentler now. "You're safe. I won't let anyone hurt you." She looked up at him, her heart torn. Gratitude washed over her, but beneath it was a quiet fear. Each time he saved her, she felt herself pulled deeper into his orbit, and she didn't know if it was safety or a cage. Their bond had deepened tonight. Yet Maria's soul wrestled with one question. Was he her protector or her captor? Lawrence insisted on accompanying Maria home after the attack. He walked beside her the entire way, his presence steady, his silence reassuring. That night, as Maria lay in her bed, her thoughts refused to rest. She replayed every moment, his fists flying against Adam, his voice telling her she was safe, the way he had stood like a shield between her and danger. Her chest ached with confusion. Was she falling in love with him? The following evening, Maria received a message from Lawrence. "Come with me tonight, a small gathering, nothing serious." When she arrived, she realized it was more than just a gathering. The lounge was filled with wealthy young men and women, Lawrence's circle of friends. Laughter rang through the room, glasses clinked and music played softly in the background. At first, Maria sat quietly, sipping her drink, trying not to stand out, but soon someone shouted, "Truth or dare?" and the game began. The bottle spun, landing on Maria. A chorus of voices cheered. "Dare," one of the girls said mischievously. "Kiss Lawrence for 10 seconds." Maria's breath caught. Heat rose to her cheeks. All eyes turned to her. Lawrence sat still, his gaze steady on hers, waiting. Her heart pounded as she leaned forward. Their lips met, hesitant at first, then deepening as Lawrence returned the kiss with unexpected passion. The room fell quiet, the others watching closely, whispering to each other. Was it just for the dare, or was there something more? When they finally pulled apart, Maria's face burned, her hands trembling. The game went on, and the bottle spun again, this time landing on Lawrence. "Truth," someone called. "Have you ever been in love before?" Lawrence leaned back casually, but his voice was calm and sure. "Yes." The room erupted with playful questions, but Maria's heart sank. She glanced down at her hands, her mind racing. Who? Who does he love? Could it be me? She dared not ask. Later that night, Lawrence drove her home. The ride was quiet, only the hum of the engine between them. When they arrived at her apartment, he walked her to the door. "Good night, Maria," he said softly, his eyes lingering on hers for a moment longer than usual. "Good night," she whispered back, her heart fluttering as she closed the door behind her. She leaned against the wall,
pressing her hands to her chest. The kiss still burned on her lips, and his words echoed in her mind. Yes, I have been in love, but she didn't know if she wanted the answer to who that love was. She lay awake long after Lawrence had dropped her home. The memory of the kiss still lingered, stirring feelings she couldn't control. Part of her longed for him, but another part was afraid that she was falling into something she didn't fully understand. The next morning her phone rang. It was her mother. "Maria, come home now," she ordered. "There is a man waiting to meet you." Maria's chest tightened. She hurried home, dreading what she might find. When she stepped inside the sitting room, she froze. Her mother was smiling and addressing a guest. "Chief Okoro," she said warmly, "this is my daughter, Maria." Maria's heart sank. She knew the name. Chief Okoro was a well-known elder in their neighborhood, older even than her father, his hair completely gray, his belly full from years of wealth and ease. Her voice shook. "Mama, he's older than Papa, and he has 3 wives." Her mother's smile faded into a scowl. "Don't be foolish. This man can take care of you and this family. He already gave me 300,000. Do you think opportunities like this fall from the sky?" Maria's hands trembled. "Mama, I can't do this." "Please." Her mother's eyes hardened. "If you refuse, I will tear up your credentials. Your school papers, your future, gone." She reached for Maria's documents. Maria lunged forward, clutching them desperately. "Mama, don't!" The struggle turned bitter, voices rising. Then, in sudden fury, her mother grabbed a bottle from the shelf, twisted it open, and raised it to her lips. "Fine," she shouted. "If you won't obey me, I'll drink this pesticide and die. Then the world will know you killed your own mother." Maria's knees buckled. "No, Mama, stop! Please!" She pulled at the bottle, tears flooding her eyes, her heart breaking. In that moment, she saw it clearly. Her mother didn't care about her dreams or her future. To her, Maria was only a source of money, even if it meant marrying her off to a man older than her father. That night, alone in her room, Maria cried until her body shook. But in the middle of her sobs, something shifted inside her. For the first time, she dreamed of independence, a life where she could choose for herself. A life where she could finally breathe free.
A few days later, Maria walked into the school bursary office, her hands trembling as she clutched her request letter. She had planned to beg for an extension to pay her fees. The woman at the counter glanced at her file and said simply, "Your school fees have already been paid." Maria's mouth fell open. "Paid? By who?" The woman shrugged. "All I know is your balance is cleared." Maria walked out slowly, her heart sinking. It must be Lawrence. She found him later that evening waiting near her apartment. "Why?" she asked softly, her voice a mix of gratitude and frustration. "Why would you pay my fees without even asking me?" He looked at her calmly. "Because you needed it." Her chest tightened. "Lawrence, I don't want to owe you too much. I don't want to feel like I'm your little charity case." Over the next few days, Lawrence went even further. He arranged private medical care for her father, ensuring he received proper treatment. Soon after, her father was discharged from the hospital stronger and smiling. For that, Maria's heart swelled with relief, yet the weight of Lawrence's help pressed heavily on her. Then came his words, firm and low. "Maria, I bought your freedom. You're mine." Her eyes widened. "What?" "I've done everything for you," he continued. "Your fees, your father's care, your safety. I won't let you run away from me. You should run to me whenever I call." Her throat tightened with anger. "I'm not your pet, Lawrence. You didn't even ask me before spending on me. You just decided. I can't live this way. I'm not some gold digger. You don't even love me. You just want to control me." He reached for her hand, but she pulled back, her voice shaking. "Leave me alone. I need time to think. After all, we're not even in a relationship. You have no right to control my life." She turned and walked away, her heart pounding. For the first time, she had pushed back against him,
and as Lawrence watched her leave, his jaw clenched. His fixation was no longer just interest, it was becoming something deeper, something he couldn't understand. All he knew was he wanted her. Maria spent the next few days trying to keep her distance from Lawrence. She wanted space, a chance to breathe on her own. But inside, she wrestled with conflicting feelings. Gratitude for all he had done, unease at his possessive words, and a longing she couldn't admit out loud. One afternoon she stopped by the supermarket to buy a few simple items to make a meal. She was picking up noodles and a small loaf of bread when she noticed commotion near the counter. An elegant-looking woman, about 50, was fumbling in her purse. She wore a neat wrapper and scarf, her shoes polished, but her face was pale with embarrassment. "I must have forgotten my wallet at home," the woman said gently. "Please, if you can just keep the items aside, I'll return with the money." The sales attendant scoffed loudly, rolling her eyes. "Madam, do you think we're fools here? Every day people come with these pathetic stories. Even the way you dressed, I know your type. Borrowed clothes, pretending rich, wasting people's time. Please leave." A few customers laughed. Maria felt her stomach twist with anger. She stepped forward quickly. "That's enough. She's an elder. You don't talk to her like that." The attendant sneered. "And who are you?" Maria placed a small note on the counter. "Here, it's just a bottle of oil. I'll pay for it." The woman's eyes filled with gratitude. She turned to Maria, her hands trembling slightly as she accepted the bag. "Thank you, my daughter. What is your name?" "Maria," she said softly, gathering her own groceries. "Really, it's no problem at all. I have to rush. I'm late for lectures." Before the woman could ask further, Maria hurried out, balancing her bag of food as she ran to campus. During her lecture, as the professor's voice droned on, Maria's phone buzzed violently in her pocket. She slipped it out, saw the caller ID, and her blood ran cold. It was her mother. She stepped out into the corridor to answer. "Mama?" Her mother's voice was frantic. "Maria, your father has been hit by a car. He's in the hospital. The doctors say he needs surgery again immediately. They need 500,000 now or he may not make it." Maria's legs nearly gave way. Her vision blurred as panic rushed over her. "Mama, I don't have that kind of money," she stammered. "You must find it," her mother cried. "If your father dies, it will be on your head." The call ended. Maria stood frozen in the hallway, her book slipping from her hands. Tears filled her eyes as the walls seemed to close in. The burden was back, heavier than ever, and this time it was more than she could carry alone. Her phone slipped from her hand as her mother's desperate words replayed in her ears. 500,000 now or your father may not make it. Her mind screamed one name, Lawrence, but she bit her lip hard. She didn't want to call him. Their relationship already seemed tangled up in money. If she ran to him now, what would that prove? That she was nothing more than a burden he could buy off? "No," she whispered under her breath. "I can't keep giving him the wrong impression." Lost in thought, she didn't notice the figure stepping into her path until he spoke. "Maria." Her head snapped up and her stomach dropped. It was Adam. Her eyes widened. "You? When were you released from jail?" Adam chuckled, his hands in his pockets. "You think something like that can hold me? This is just a little thing. Nothing my father, a powerful politician, can't handle. But relax. I don't hold grudges. I don't want to fight you." Maria froze, torn between fear and confusion. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "I heard your call earlier. You need money, right? Surgery money. I can help you. Everything's already arranged. Cash, paperwork, even vehicles if you need. You just need to sign the agreement. The company will pay you up front for health insurance. All clean, no risk." Her breath shook. "Why would you, after everything, want to help me?" Adam smiled faintly. "Because I can. And because you need it. Just trust me once." Maria's heart twisted. Every instinct told her not to trust him, but the weight of her father's life bore down on her. Against her better judgment, desperation silenced her doubts. "Fine," she whispered. "I'll come." That evening, Adam drove her out of town.
At first, she thought it was just to finalize paperwork. But soon the road grew quieter, the buildings fewer, until they arrived at a tall, guarded compound. The gates closed behind them. Maria's pulse quickened. "Where are we?" Adam's smirk darkened. "Home." Inside, she saw them, other young women. Some were bruised, others sat in corners with hollow eyes, whispering to themselves, begging to go home. Maria's knees buckled. "Oh God." Adam turned to her, his eyes hard now. No trust, no emotions. If you obey, you'll survive. If you disobey, you'll suffer. Only I can have you. Maria's throat tightened with horror. You planned this?" He nodded without shame. "Yes, I planned your father's accident. I arranged the reward money trap, and I made sure you signed away your protections because I love you. Don't you see? No one else can have you but me." Maria's whole body shook. She was shoved into a small room with only a mattress on the floor. Hunger and humiliation became her reality. Late into the night, another girl whispered through the wall. "We were all tricked, just like you. Promises of jobs, money, safety. But once you step in, there's no way out." Maria pressed her hands to her face, tears spilling. But deep in her heart, one fragile hope remained Lawrence. "He'll come for me. He has to, but how will he find me?" Meanwhile, Lawrence could not shake Maria from his mind. Every detail of her stayed with him, the way she blushed when embarrassed, the way she always thought of her father before herself, the fire in her eyes when she stood up to him. At first he told himself it was just obsession, a desire to own her. But now he knew it was different. This was not control. This was love. Real love, the kind he had never felt for anyone before. At the hospital, he found himself distracted, staring blankly at charts, missing calls, forgetting meetings. By the time he got home to his penthouse that afternoon, he poured himself a drink and sat in the dim light, the weight of longing pressing heavily on him. That was when the door opened. His mother, Madame Lucy Benson, stepped in, graceful and composed, her voice calm but firm. "Lawrence," she said, settling into the chair across from him, "you're not getting any younger. It's time you thought seriously about marriage. Zoe, the Prime Minister's daughter, is perfect, smart, beautiful, from a family that matches ours. Imagine the alliance." Lawrence's jaw tightened. "I don't want Zoe." His mother tilted her head. "Then who?" He hesitated, then spoke. "There's someone, a girl. She's a student, struggling, but she's..." His voice dropped. "She's different. She's the one I care about." His mother's face darkened. "A poor student." "Lawrence, be serious. Do you know what people in our circle will say? She's with you for your money, nothing else. Our family values class, dignity. Don't throw it away for a charity case." He looked her in the eye. "It's not about money. I love her." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then his mother rose, her voice sharp with disapproval. "You will regret this, Lawrence." She left, the click of the door echoing behind her. When the silence returned, Lawrence picked up his phone and dialed Maria's number. It rang once, then again came the cold voice of the machine. "Number not reachable." A tight knot formed in his chest. Something was wrong. Without hesitation, he rushed to her school. There he found a group of her classmates lingering outside the lecture hall. "Maria," he demanded, "have you seen her?" One of them nodded nervously. She left with Adam. Yesterday. No one has seen either of them ever since." Lawrence's stomach dropped. Adam. His hands clenched into fists. He pulled out his phone and called his men immediately. "Find her now, search everywhere, track Adam and his father, don't rest until you do." As the line clicked, his mind raced. He was sure Adam wasn't acting alone. His father, Ronald, a powerful politician with shadowy ties, was pulling strings. This wasn't random. It had been planned. The pieces were coming together. Meanwhile, inside the guarded compound, Maria sat on the cold floor of the small room, her back against the wall. Hunger gnawed at her stomach, but worse was the fear of Adam's footsteps echoing in the corridor. That evening the door creaked open. Adam stepped inside, his smile unsettling. "Still stubborn, Maria?" he asked, crouching near her. His hand reached toward her waist, but she pulled away sharply. "Don't touch me," she cried. His eyes narrowed. "Is it because of that rich guy, Lawrence? You think he'll find you? No one will. I can wait. I'm a patient man. I will have you eventually. Because here, you belong to me." Maria's heart pounded as he stood and left, locking the door behind him. Tears spilled silently down her cheeks. Meanwhile, Lawrence was a storm. He refused to eat, refused to rest. Every hour felt like a knife twisting deeper. He had already mobilized his contacts, burning through money and calling in favors. But Adam and his father's group operated under powerful protection, layers of influence, hidden networks. Still, Lawrence refused to give up. Finally, after sleepless nights and countless bribes, he got what he needed: the compound's location. "Prepare the team," he ordered coldly. At dawn, black SUVs pulled up outside the guarded gates. Lawrence stepped out, flanked by his private security, their presence sending panic through the compound. The guards scattered, no match for the force he brought. Lawrence stormed inside. The moment Maria saw him at the door of her cell, her legs gave way. He rushed forward, pulling her into his arms, holding her as if he'd never let go. "Why, Maria?" His voice cracked with a mix of anger and relief. "Why didn't you call me? Why would you trust Adam of all people?" Tears blurred her vision as she whispered, "Because you're no better than them. You bought me too." The words struck him harder than any blow. He froze, his arms still around her, his chest tight with guilt. Adam was dragged out in handcuffs, cursing and shouting. "This isn't over. My father will free me. You'll regret this, Lawrence." But Lawrence didn't hear him. His entire world was the trembling girl in his arms. Later, outside the compound, Maria sat quietly, her head lowered. Lawrence knelt beside her, his voice raw. "Maria, I admit it. I've been obsessed with you. I wanted to own you. But that night when I thought I'd lost you, I realized it's more than that. Please, forgive me." Maria lifted her eyes slowly, her face pale and weary. "I need rest, Lawrence. Please just take me home." His heart sank, but he nodded. Carefully, he wrapped his coat around her shoulders and led her toward the car. For now, she was safe. But between them, wounds remained, wounds that neither wealth nor power could easily heal. Back in her apartment, Maria could hardly sleep. The walls felt too quiet, yet her mind was loud with torment. She replayed Adam's words, that he had planned everything, even her father's accident. She hugged herself on the bed, trembling. Was Papa even safe? Was he still alive? Exhaustion finally pulled her under. Before her eyes closed, she resolved that at dawn she would go to the house and see for herself. The next morning, Maria walked with heavy steps to her family's home. When she pushed the door open, her father was seated, alive and well. Johnson was in the corner scrolling on his phone, and her mother was humming as if nothing had happened. Relief hit her chest, but anger burned hotter. "You're all fine?" Maria's voice shook. Her mother turned, feigning innocence. "Of course, why shouldn't we be?" Maria's hands trembled. "Then why did you call me, telling me Papa was hit by a car? Do you know what I went through? Do you know what Adam did to me?" At the mention of Adam, her mother's face faltered. Maria stepped forward, her eyes wet. "Tell me the truth, Mama." Her mother hesitated, then shrugged as though it were nothing. "Adam offered me money. He asked me to call you so you would follow him. We needed it, so I agreed." Maria's mouth fell open. "Mama," her voice broke. "How could you? After everything?" Her father stayed silent, his head bowed. That silence hurt Maria more than words. Her heart cracked wider as she looked between them. "Do you even love me? Would you have done the same to Johnson?" Her mother's face twisted with fury. "Enough! You've been nothing but a burden to this family since the day we took you in. Don't you understand? You're not even ours. We found you wandering the streets when you were little. We pitied you and took you in, and this is how you repay us.
The room spun. Maria's knees buckled. Not yours. What does that even mean? It means you were just a lost orphan we took in out of pity,
her mother replied coldly. Tears blurred her vision as the truth slammed into her. Suddenly, every memory made sense. The coldness, the favoritism, the way her mother never treated her like blood. She thought her father loved her, but he had just sat there and let her mother use his name to get her kidnapped. Her world shattered. She turned and ran, her sobs choking her, stumbling all the way back to her apartment. Meanwhile, across town, Lawrence was moving with deadly focus. He had pieced together every detail of Adam and Ronald's trafficking ring. His lawyers, private investigators, and informants had compiled enough evidence to blow their protection apart.
By noon, the police stormed Mr. Ronald's public office. Cameras flashed, sirens wailed, and the news spread like wildfire. A politician tied to human trafficking, father and son exposed. For once, Lawrence knew they wouldn't escape. This time, there was enough to bury them forever. When Maria finally reached her apartment, her body was trembling from the tears she had shed all the way home. She barely noticed the figure waiting at her door until she stumbled into him. Lawrence. He didn't speak. He just opened his arms. Maria broke. She pressed her face into his chest and wept, letting all the walls fall away. For the first time, she allowed herself to be vulnerable. Lawrence said nothing, just held her quietly, as if he had promised the universe itself that he would never let her fall again. Maria stayed in Lawrence's arms for a long time, letting his quiet strength calm the storm inside her. For the first time, she began to feel like she wasn't completely alone. Still, the words of her mother haunted her. "You're not even ours. We found you wandering the streets." The truth of her identity pressed like a stone on her chest. Who was she really? Where had she come from? Lawrence didn't push her. He became her anchor, always present but never demanding, watching over her in silence. One afternoon after her lecture, Maria was packing her books when a well-dressed woman approached her. Her scarf was neatly tied, her handbag polished, her presence refined. "Maria James?" she asked politely. "Yes," Maria replied cautiously. "I am Mrs. Benson's assistant, Mr. Lawrence's mother. She would like me to speak with you." Maria's heart skipped. She agreed to walk with the woman, and together they entered a cozy cafe nearby. Over steaming cups of tea, the assistant leaned forward and slid an envelope across the table. "This is $5 million, she said softly. "It's from Mrs. Benson. All she asks is that you leave her son. End it before it goes too far." Maria's eyes widened at the bundle of money. Slowly, she pushed it back across the table. "No." The assistant arched a brow. "You refuse? Do you know what this means? You'll never be accepted. This is your chance to secure your future." Maria's voice shook, but her words were firm. "I won't betray him. Lawrence has done nothing but show me that he cares. Yes, he can be possessive, but now I know it comes from a place of love. I will not sell my feelings for money." The assistant sighed, collected the envelope, and rose. "You'll regret this decision, Maria." Maria stood too, her heart steady. "Maybe, but I won't regret standing by the one who stood by me." She left the cafe, her head held high. That evening, as she sat in her apartment, her phone rang. Lawrence's name lit up the screen. "Maria." His voice was calm but warm. "Come to my home tonight. I'm sending a driver to pick you up." Her heart fluttered, nervous but hopeful. She knew this invitation wasn't casual. Something was changing between them, something deeper, something real. Maria's heart pounded as the car pulled up in front of Lawrence's penthouse. The driver opened the door, and she stepped out, clutching her bag nervously. She had never been to his home before. It was sleek, towering, its glass walls glowing with warm light against the night sky. Inside, Lawrence welcomed her with a quiet smile. He led her to the living room, where the city lights stretched endlessly beneath them. For a moment, silence filled the air, the weight of unspoken words between them. Finally, Lawrence broke it. His voice was steady, but there was something raw beneath it. "Maria, I need you to know something. I know we started on the wrong foot,
That one-night stand, but getting to know you changed me. I don't want to lose you. Not now. Not ever." Maria's lips trembled. "But why me, Lawrence? I'm just me, a poor girl, and now I don't even know who my parents are. What do you even see in me?" He stepped closer, his eyes locked on hers. "You're all I ever wanted. You've shown me more strength, kindness, and honesty than anyone in my world of money and power. I don't want to live without you." Her breath caught, her heart racing. Slowly they leaned in, faces just inches apart, about to seal the moment with a kiss, when the door to the penthouse opened.
"Lawrence!" Madam Benson's voice rang sharply as she walked in. "I can't believe this. I sent my assistant to give money to this poor girl, leeching off you, and she has the audacity to refuse it, acting noble." "Mother!" Lawrence snapped, his face red with anger. "How could you do that behind my back? How could you insult her like that?" As they argued, Madam Benson's gaze shifted. Her eyes landed fully on Maria, and froze. Her voice softened, trembling. "Maria, is that you, my dear?" Maria blinked in shock. "Madam?" In an instant, Madam Benson crossed the room, taking Maria's hands in hers. "You're the girl from the supermarket, the one who helped me when no one else would." Lawrence's mouth fell open. You know each other?" Madam Benson smiled, her grip warm and firm. "Yes, this young woman left an impression on me that day. Such kindness, such dignity." She turned to her son, her voice changing from stern to gentle. "Is she the girl you said you love?" "Yes," Lawrence said without hesitation, his eyes fixed on Maria. "She is." For a moment, Madam Benson studied Maria's face, then nodded slowly, a soft smile forming. "No wonder she refused the money. She has a noble heart." "I was wrong, Lawrence, completely wrong. If she's the one you love, then I won't object anymore." Maria's chest swelled with emotion, tears glistening in her eyes. For the first time, she felt seen, not as a burden, not as a tool, but as someone truly worthy. Madam Benson's warm embrace lingered on Maria's shoulders as she spoke softly. "Come to the house tomorrow, my dear. I want you to meet the rest of the family." Maria nodded, still overwhelmed by the turn of events. For the first time in her life, she felt not rejected, but welcomed. The next day, Maria arrived at the Benson mansion. The gates swung open to reveal a sprawling estate, manicured gardens, and a mansion that gleamed like marble against the sunlight. Nervous but composed, Maria followed Madam Benson inside. In the grand sitting room, Mr. Benson sat waiting. He was tall and dignified, with silver at his temples, his presence commanding but warm. "My dear," he said, smiling as Maria approached. "So you are Maria. Such an innocent-looking girl. My wife has not stopped talking about you since that little encounter at the supermarket. I can see why. Lawrence is lucky to have found you." Maria bowed her head shyly, smiling warmly. "Thank you, sir." Mr. Benson patted her hand approvingly, and for a moment, Maria felt a strange peace, as though she had finally stepped into a place she belonged. "Maria," Madam Benson said then, "come with me. There's something I want to give you." She led Maria into her private study. The room smelled of polished wood and old books, lined with shelves and family portraits. At her desk, Madam Benson opened a velvet jewelry box filled with precious heirlooms. From within, she drew out a delicate gold bracelet and pressed it into Maria's hands. "This," she said, her eyes soft, "is for you, a symbol of acceptance, for my daughter-in-law." Maria's eyes glistened as she whispered, "Thank you, Ma. This means a lot to me." But then her gaze fell on something else inside the jewelry box. A necklace, simple yet striking, with a design she knew too well. Her heart leapt into her throat. She pointed with a trembling hand. "Ma, that necklace. Where did you get it?" Madam Benson glanced inside and sighed softly. "Ah, that belongs to my friend, Madam Ruth Wilson, from the Wilson family. You may have heard of them. Her husband is the Prime Minister. When we were young girls, Ruth and I exchanged matching necklaces as a bond of friendship. Years later, she told me she had given hers to her long-lost daughter.
a child who was stolen from her. Maria's lips parted, her breath quickening. But I have that necklace, the same pair. The room froze. Madame Benson's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with shock. My God, I had that necklace customized. It's only a pair in this world, she whispered. Maria, could it be? Could you be the Wilsons' daughter, the one who was lost, the one they've been searching for all these years? Maria's knees weakened, the weight of her past crashing into the present. All her life she had wondered who she was, why she was never truly loved. And now the answer might be closer than she had ever imagined. Maria stood trembling in Madame Benson's study, the gold bracelet still in her hand, the necklace glinting faintly in the jewelry box. Her heart was racing, her thoughts colliding. Madame Benson took her hand gently and whispered, "Come with me." Together, they returned to the living room, where Mr. Benson was reading the paper. He looked up, instantly noticing the tension in his wife's eyes. "My dear," she said, her voice tight with emotion, "I think Maria may be Ruth Wilson's daughter, the one who was lost." Mr. Benson set the paper aside, his brows lifting in shock. "Are you sure?" "Not yet," she admitted. "But the necklace, the timing, everything fits." Just then, Lawrence entered, sensing the heaviness in the room. "What's going on?" His father turned to him. "Your mother believes Maria may be the Wilson family's long-lost child." Lawrence glanced at Maria, his heart tightening as he saw her pale face. "Then I'll take care of it. Don't worry. If this is true, I'll make sure she is reunited with her family." Maria's eyes filled with tears. She wanted to believe, but fear and hope battled within her. The following week, Lawrence arranged a private meeting at the Wilson estate. The family's mansion was even grander than the Bensons', guarded by tall gates and filled with portraits of history. Maria's hands shook as she entered the drawing room. Sitting there was Madame Ruth Wilson, regal and elegant, yet her eyes carried years of sorrow. "Maria," Lawrence said softly, guiding her forward. "Before anything else, I wanted to be sure. I had a DNA test done." He handed a sealed envelope to Madame Wilson, who tore it open with trembling fingers. Her eyes scanned the result, filled with tears. 100%, she whispered. "She's mine. She's my daughter." The room fell into silence before Ruth Wilson rushed forward, wrapping Maria in her arms. "My child, after all these years, I thought I'd lost you forever." Maria clung to her, sobbing. "Mother," the word felt strange on her tongue, yet so natural it broke her heart. Through her tears, Madame Wilson whispered, "We adopted Zoe after losing you. She has been like a daughter to me, but I never stopped searching, never stopped praying. And now God has brought you back to me." Maria hugged her tighter, the warmth of true love flooding her heart. For the first time in her life, she felt what it meant to be wanted, to be cherished, to belong. Behind them, Lawrence watched quietly, his chest swelling with pride and relief. The girl he loved was no longer just Maria. She was the Wilson heiress, restored to the family that had never stopped longing for her. Adjusting to life as the Wilson heiress was like waking up in another world. Maria found herself surrounded by luxury, but also by constant eyes watching her every move. High society ladies whispered when she entered the room, some smiling politely, others with envy. Every dinner party felt like a test of grace she had never been trained for. But the hardest part was Zoe. Zoe, who had grown up as the Wilsons' only daughter, couldn't hide her jealousy. She felt her place threatened and, one afternoon, even tried to corner Lawrence. "You know," she said softly, "I've always admired you. Now that Maria has everything, maybe you should think—" Lawrence cut her off, his voice calm but firm. "Zoe, listen to me. I only love Maria. In this lifetime, there will be no one else." Zoe's face fell, and for days she sulked, certain her parents would cast her aside now that their real daughter had been found. But Madame Ruth and Mr. Wilson called her into their study, their faces warm and kind. Zoe, Madame Ruth said gently, you are our daughter too. We raised you, and our love for you will never change. Mr. Wilson nodded. We believe you and Maria will accept each other as sisters. We will never stop loving either of you. Tears filled Zoe's eyes. Slowly she nodded. For the first time, she began to accept that Maria wasn't a rival but family. Meanwhile, Lawrence's heart had already made its choice. One sunny afternoon, while Maria was preparing for her final exams at the university, her phone buzzed. Meet me in the garden, his message read. Curious, Maria walked into the Wilson family's lush garden. As she stepped inside, soft fairy lights flickered on, guiding her path. At the center, Lawrence stood waiting, dressed sharply, his eyes shining. Her breath caught as he slowly dropped to one knee, holding out a velvet box. Maria, he began, his voice deep with emotion. We didn't start perfectly. Our beginning was messy, even broken. But through it all, one truth has become clear. I cannot live without you. You are my strength, my peace, and the only woman I will ever love. Will you marry me? Tears filled Maria's eyes as she nodded, her voice trembling. Yes, Lawrence, yes. The garden erupted in applause. Lights blazed brighter, revealing their families standing nearby, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson beaming with pride, and the Bensons smiling warmly. Lawrence slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into his arms as everyone congratulated them. Later that evening, Zoe approached Maria quietly. For a moment, Maria braced herself, but Zoe's lips curved into a genuine smile. I'm glad I have a sister, she whispered. Maria's eyes softened. She pulled Zoe into a hug, and for the first time, both girls felt the bond of family, real and unbreakable. Wedding preparations filled Maria's days. The Wilson mansion buzzed with tailors, florists, planners, and endless discussions about gowns, guest lists, and security details. Maria was overwhelmed but grateful. After years of pain, she was finally stepping into a life filled with love and dignity. Still, the weight of high society's expectations pressed on her. Every headline, every whisper about the lost Wilson heiress reminded her of how far she had come and how closely the world now watched her. But with Lawrence by her side, her confidence grew. He stood firm through it all, reminding her every day, "You're not alone anymore." Just when Maria thought her life had finally settled, shadows from her past resurfaced. The James family, her former family, had seen the news that the Wilsons' long-lost daughter had been found. Jealousy festered in her mother's heart, bitter that the girl she once called a burden was now heir to one of the most powerful families in the country. Together with Johnson, they began to plot. "We raised her," Johnson's mother hissed. "She owes us. If we take her back, we'll have the power we deserve." Johnson nodded eagerly. "We'll grab her before the wedding." One evening, as Maria left a bridal fitting, their plan snapped into motion. A black car waited by the curb, its doors opening. Rough hands reached toward her. But before they could act, Zoe, who had followed Maria that day, spotted the commotion. Her instincts sharpened. Without hesitation, she dialed Lawrence. Within minutes, Lawrence and his men arrived. The attempted abduction was stopped before it could unfold. Maria was pulled into Lawrence's protective arms, trembling, as Johnson and his mother were dragged back in shock. At the Wilson mansion, Madame Ruth and Mr. Wilson were furious. "You dare?" Madame Ruth's voice shook with righteous anger. "After all the cruelty you showed her, you now want to harm her again?" Mr. Wilson's glare was cold. "If not for the fact that you raised our daughter, even if it was with cruelty, you would already be in prison. Consider this your final warning." A restraining order was placed against the entire James family. They were told to stay away from Maria forever. Maria, shaken but relieved, realized she was finally free of their chains. The day of the wedding arrived. The venue was transformed into a vision of luxury. White roses arched across the entrance, golden chandeliers glittered above the aisle, and the pews were filled with the most powerful families in the land. Maria walked down the aisle in a gown of pure elegance, her heart pounding, her eyes locked on Lawrence. He stood tall, handsome, his expression full of love.
When they joined hands at the altar, their vows were not just words, they were a promise forged in pain, trials, and triumph. "I will love you," Lawrence said, his voice strong, "for as long as I live. You are my heart, Maria." "And I will love you," Maria replied, her voice steady despite her tears, "because you showed me I was worth loving. You are my home, Lawrence." The priest blessed them. Rings were exchanged. Applause roared through the hall as they sealed their vows with a kiss. For the first time in her life, Maria felt whole, loved by her true family, cherished by the man she had chosen, and free from the shadows of her past. The story of pain, betrayal, and survival ended in joy. The story of Maria and Lawrence had only just begun. In the end, Maria gained not just wealth or status, but something far greater: the power to love, to forgive, and to finally live free. From betrayal to belonging, from tears to triumph, Maria's story reminds us all that sometimes the pain of yesterday is only the path to the joy of tomorrow.